So the next one is probably when you get people to talk about what are the key factors that make teamwork happen. There are two that come out. One of them is about clarity of purpose. I think we can learn a lot about team performance by looking at examples where it just springs up spontaneously. So, I've seen a lot of examples, but we all would have, under a crisis situation or, an emergency situation, humans are remarkable at collaborating, actually with people they don't know. But in every one of those instances, it will be because there's a really clear purpose, which requires collaboration. So this is where leaders will notice they've seen their team being high performing, and then that performance sometimes disappears because they're not the ones that created the clarity of focus. So I would argue during COVID, some leaders did a brilliant job at creating clarity of focus, but actually the purpose and imperative was kind of created by COVID sometimes. And actually that performance could disappear if the leader wasn't being intentional about it. So first building block, kind of been speaking to it there, is to have a really clear purpose and meaning. Again, what makes this, where we see this work, it can be different. A number of you were talking about that, but for me, it's compelling. It's meaningful in the sense that it connects to the individual's values. A number of groups talked about that, and it's measurable. So if it's not measurable, there's a danger that it becomes sort of wallpaper. But if it's measurable, it brings its life. There's a great story if you dig into NASA. So we all know about, well, a lot of us know about the Kennedy speech of land a man on the moon by the end of the decade. What's less known is Gene Kranz, who was flight director, talks about how the guys at NASA largely ignored the speech, didn't really pay a lot of attention to it until Kennedy turned up at NASA 3 months later and started asking questions around, so how are you doing? And he said at that point, the mission really started to bite. Kind of got the sense that they meant what they were talking about. Aligned with, so we talk about clarity of purpose of the what and the why we're trying to achieve. The next is about real clarity around how. This will link to what I'm going to talk about under energy in terms of confidence, but at the heart of this is how clear are people on what we need to focus our energy on. And equally important, so we talk about ruthless focus, how clear are we on what we're not focusing our attention on? So again, it is not a clear strategy if we have 17 initiatives we're going after, and we all get tempted into this. I think it's about being really ruthless about what are the few things that we think are going to make the boat go faster, to use Rowing's phrase around that. Clear individual roles. So this is mega important in terms of people's sense of belonging within the team. I think of this as, to what extent does everyone feel they have a chance to shine within the team? I'll just share one example of this, which has stuck with me for, what is it now? 12 years since we did the research. So we did a lot of research into GB boxing. Quite an interesting story because it kind of breaks the rules that the culture of GB boxing, they talked about it being transformed in 24 hours when Rob McCracken stepped in as performance director. And just one example within that. So there was someone within the team, a fairly administrative role within the team. Rob had said to her, your role is to make sure our boxers turn up at World Champs better prepared to perform at their best than any other team. She came back an hour later and said, I've been thinking about that. And at the moment, our board members fly and our boxers take train when we go overseas. If what you're saying is what we want to do, I suggest we swap that around. And the point I want to make is she was just, almost walking 6 inches higher because she'd been given a clear role and clear status within the team. And then the final one, this is a bit different, really, really critical. Again, the research really bears out the importance of this, is taking time to have a conversation as a team around what will high performing for us look like, and agreeing on a set of behavioral norms we're going to hold ourselves accountable to. So Richard Hackman, one of the people we will reference at the end of it, it's really interesting, comes out of the intelligence service, but done a lot of research at Harvard around teams. He's looked at just normal group, control group, if you like, in teams doing a very simple task where one team takes 10 minutes to agree how they're going to work, and the team that agrees how they're going to work almost always outperforms the team that hasn't. So agreeing on the norms of behavior.